All right, hey everybody, this is Dave Kramer from Kramer Unstuck. Haven't been in a video in a while, got lazy, but I was watching a few videos on that Ed Fenninger made, which is I think it's Edward PF 123. That's his channel, and I'll put those videos in the. I'll make a playlist of that. And he was talking about this other guy, Jack Smack 77, and how he is telling people a crossless gospel. Two things, a crossless gospel, and the second one is that all you need to believe is John 3:16. Both of these are heresies. Okay? You can't be born again unless you believe the true gospel, and that true gospel has to have the death on the cross, because that is vitally important. John 19 here, after Pilate, after Pilate judged him, and Pilate didn't want to, give him up or have him crucified. All he wanted to do was scourge him and let him go. But the Jews wanted him crucified, and he needed to be crucified because he was going to pay the debt for our sin. Okay? God required Jesus Christ to pay that debt because only Jesus Christ could be perfect. And only a perfect, spotless lamb could pay that debt. And he came as the lamb the first time. And the only way that he could pay that debt was to die on a cross. There's no other way. And John 19 here goes through where he's judged and he's given over to the Jews, and because of the pressure, Pilate decides to crucify him. 15, but they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, we have no king but Caesar. Then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified, and they took Jesus and led him away. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him, and two others with him, on either side, one and Jesus in the midst. All right. Now I'm going to go down here and he died here. Verse 30, when Jesus therefore, he received, they gave him a vessel, they gave him vinegar. And when Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished, and he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. Okay, now, this don't go into it like Matthew, because I don't see anything here. Then they buried him, okay? Death, burial, resurrection, third day. But in Matthew, I like Matthew because, okay, his death on the cross, okay, now, let's see. 35 of Matthew 27, 32 to 56. 35, and they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it may be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and my vesture did they cast lots. Now, I'm going to go down here to where he died on the cross. And here, and about 46, okay, here, about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Yes, That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? We don't understand what he went through other than, okay, the pain of the cross, and what it does is when you die, you're up like this, and it causes you to not breathe. You're nailed there. But he was also going through the wrath of God was being poured out on him. Okay, that's why for Christians, we are not appointed wrath, because he took it for us. Okay, and there he is crucified. And then down here, 50, Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. Now here, this is his death on the cross and what it did. 51, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So tell me, why would people want to omit the cross and the death on the cross from the gospel when it did that? Because when the veil of the temple was rent in twain, guess what? Now I can go right to God where I'm sitting, in my car. I can talk to him and he will hear me. Where in the past, okay, because we had a spotless lamb die. That was the perfect sacrifice, okay? Once that sacrifice was made, once his death on the cross, where he had to suffer and die for us, now we can go to God. We don't need to take our sacrifices and our offerings to a priest and have him go into the Holy of Holies with a rope tied around his ankle. So if he messes up just a tiny little bit, then they got to drag his dead body out, and it's like, all right, it's your turn, buddy. See, God required perfection, and that's what Jesus gave. He gave perfection, and he died, and he took everything on him that I owe. He paid my debt and your debt on the cross. So right here in 51, that there, I mean, look at that. That death on the cross, not just the veil of the temple, but the earth quaked and the rocks were rent. Okay, in 52, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saint which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. I mean, the cross doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about the cross. Okay, I'm going to tell people all you need to believe is John 3:16. John 3:16 explains what God, okay, for God so loved the world. Okay, God loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, the question the unsaved person should ask is, well, what do I need to believe in him? What about? Or if you're telling someone about Jesus and you're giving them John 3:16, you should probably say, what do you think you need to believe about Jesus? Because without the cross, this here is pretty much, okay, you believe in him. Well, what do you need to believe in him? What about him should I believe? That he walked on water? That he fed the 5,000? Let's see, that he healed the sick? That he helped a blind man to see by spitting, making mud, and putting it on his eyes? What do I need? Do I need all of that? What do I need? So that's the question that the unsaved should ask. That's the question you should put to them. What do you think you need to believe? And then that's when you can give them 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 and 4. Now, this here doesn't say that he died on the cross for our sins according to the scriptures, but this here, Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures. Well, how did he die? Now you can say, okay, you see, You need to believe that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures. I showed you that he died how? Yes, he was crucified. And then he was buried, and he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. So, do you believe that? And if they say, yes, I do, and if they truly do, they're saved. You need the cross. And you need to also tell them the true gospel instead of just, well, John 3:16 will work. So I wanted to put that out there. It's, I mean, to come out as a Bible teacher and to teach nonsense like a crossless gospel and John 3:16, believe that, that'll save you. That's complete nonsense. These people know nothing of the Bible. Nothing. So, believe the truth. Read the Bible for yourself. Pray about it. Ask the Lord to lead you and guide you, because he will. And you're going to find out the cross is very vitally important for the gospel. Okay? Because that's where, when he died, he gave us that ability now, the freedom to come boldly before God's throne. Where before, we couldn't. There was no way. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you today. I hope that, let's go up here. What do we have here? Whoops. There we go. So that's it. That's all I have. And until next time, this is Kramer Unstuck.